Hello. All right, if I shocked you, I'm sorry. I shocked me too. Okay, it's that time. Let's get our characters' actual sword attack going. So if you're watching this, you should have an active AI enemy in the scene. Well, not really AI, but they're tracking your movement. And then they can hit you, boom, and you flash and you get stunned. And then eventually you die. So all of that should be working and getting handled. So let's give our hero a chance to fight back, shall we? So first things first, we're going to want to go back to our input folder, and we need to create a new input control. So inside of actions, we're going to right click, go input action. It's like we did before, except this time we're going to do input action attack. And we don't need to go inside of that because the default settings of that will work for us just fine. I will go back a folder and open up the INC Adventure, and we can minimize our AWSD that we already did, and we need to add a new map here. So now that we've got this map, we can add our input action of attack. Then we can click this, and we're just going to choose left click. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let's just keep it keyboard bound for now. Let's do the letter J. Okay. So now that we've got this all set up, we can close that. Make sure you save. All right. And we can go open up our hero blueprint. So blueprint, character, hero blueprint. And here's our hero blueprint. Not a whole lot going on in here right now. We definitely need to look at some organization here. Why don't we start doing some of that now as we go? So I'll add a comment here. Player movement. Comments don't just help us keep things organized. They also let us move things more easily because now we can move all of this together. And this here is the active controller. Okay, there we go. Now, so with that, we can go ahead and bring in our new move input. So input action, bring in the input action of attack. And, we can go ahead and add this right there. And we'll just make it bigger for now. We can work inside a comment. Okay. All right, we got to enhance input action of attack. Ready to go. And we are going to expand this because we're going to use started here. We're not going to use triggered. Okay. So now we're going to go inside of our function that we created last time called the can act. And once we're inside of our can act function, we also want to make sure that our character is not attacking. So we'll drag in this new variable. We'll get the is attacking, just set to false. And then we will add the not boolean again. And we will plug this into the and by adding a pin. Okay. So now it reads if the player is alive, not stunned, and not attacking, they can act. Now we're going to the event graph. And remember, we're working off of started. We're going to get the can act. And we're going to plug that into a branch. We're going to come off of started into our branch. And then we're going to check valid condition. And now we're going to grab our animation component from our components list. Animation component. And off the animation component, we're going to get the anim instance. Usually the last one on the list here. Okay. And with that available to us, we can now go to the override that we added before and do play animation override with callbacks. All right, and then because the can act statement is checking for true, can we act? We can. I'm going to go ahead and drop this down here. We're going to set this animation to attack. Okay, so off of the back of this, just like we did with the stuns earlier, we are going to set, sorry, I grabbed the wrong variable. We're going to grab our set attacking. And we are going to set attacking to true when we're attacking. And then Control D to duplicate. And we will set attacking to false when either the attack is complete or it's been canceled. So the attack could be canceled if we got hit, or perhaps we died maybe. So many ways that the attack could be canceled. Okay. Now we can go ahead and give this a shot. If we hit play with the letter J key, you can see we've got a very clear animation. I'm going to go ahead and remove the turkey for now, and we'll show you this again. All right, so if I press the J key, you can see I can aim in all different directions and make an attack. And you can see as I'm attacking, I can no longer move. So the can act function is working perfectly fine by removing our ability to walk and slash. Okay, but now maybe you feel like that animation's a little slow. Well, that's fine. That's perfectly acceptable. We can go here and you'll see here we got play rate. Now, if we try like say 1.5, this may feel a little bit more comfortable for you. You can tell by the pauses in between my movement that it's a lot shorter, right? I feel like that's a personal touch, personal flavor. But either way, let's create a variable out of this. So we'll promote this to a variable, and we'll call this sword play rate. Okay. Now that should do the sword. But now we've got to get into setting up the actual damage and the attack, right? So let's move on to checking out how to do what we call an attack notify. Okay, don't forget to compile and save always. So first thing we need to do is go to our hero animation. So we're going to go into blueprint, character, hero. So we're going to go into the animation source of the hero. Okay, and we're going to double click attack. Now, with the attack animation all set up, you'll see here we got 4 separate frames for the attack. Now, if we hit pause here, we can move the slider. We can see how our player's animation actually works. Right, so there's the default state, there's the prep, the swing, and the reset, or the recovery, right? So we want to start an attack right about here in that frame here. So what we're going to do is we're going to right in this space here with the track, we're going to right click and add a notify, and we're going to add a new notify, and we're going to call it check hit box. Okay, so now we've got something we can reference in a blueprint so that we can go ahead and trigger collision and cause damage to players. So real quick, I'm just going to, on this notify frame where it says 2, it's actually not right at the 2. But if I retype 2 and press enter, it will move itself right over to 2. But you can also just slide it around and it should lock itself right onto that frame for you. Okay? So don't forget to save. Let's go back to BP Hero. And we're going to create a new function. And we're going to call it check hit. So inside of check hit, we're going to get our hitbox. And we're going to check for overlapping actors. Get overlapping actors would be better thing to type. Get overlapping actors. Okay. So now this is going to check for any actors that overlap with our hero's hitbox. So that was just to remind you, that's this hitbox here that we put in before. right? We're going to check for any overlapping actors in there. Okay. And in the class, we specifically want to look for anything that's a BP enemy. So we'll add the BP enemy base here as the class filter. Okay. This will also help ensure that the hero is not one of the people getting hit by his own sword. Okay. So we're going to go over to our ABP hero. Okay. And inside of our ABP hero, we are going to notice we have this receive notify check hitbox. That's the notify we created over here. Check hitbox. Okay. Okay. So inside of the receive notify, we want to grab this variable that we've created a while ago called owning hero. We're going to bring this get owning hero, and we're going to call the check for hit custom event that we made. And we're going to just plug that in like that. And that should be that for that. All right. Okay. So we can go back to our BP hero where this is sitting. Okay. And then with this part here, we are going to get a list, an array of all of the characters currently inside of our hitbox. So we can pull off of this, and we're going to do a reverse for each loop. We can plug that into the check hit. And we're going to add up and apply damage to the loop. And the array element will be the damaged actors. So any of the actors inside there will be the damaged actors. Okay. So now let's apply sword damage. All right. So we're always saving all, compile and saving. So we already, from the reverse for each loop, the array, we applied the damage. We plugged in the array element. We're going to set the base damage to 1. And we're going to go ahead and right click and promote this variable to sword damage. Okay. With sword damage set up, we're going to set the sword's hitbox collision. So we're going to go to our BP hero where we are. We're going to go to our viewport. Select our hitbox. And set the collision preset to hit detection. The collision preset we created earlier. So this makes the sword detect hurt boxes inside of the capsule. Okay, so now let's go to our enemy BP base. Okay, so we're over in our BP enemy base, and we are going to find our begin overlap component. Sorry, a begin overlap event based on our hurtbox component. We are going to add an equals equals. We're going to compare it to our BP hero's hurt box. Okay. So by doing this comparison here, what we're really saying is if you see our hero's hurt box, if it's equal to this hurt box here, then we got a branch, B on our keyboard for the shortcut. If the condition is true, you can apply the damage. This means touching the player body causes damage, but touching the sword hitbox does not cause the damage. Okay, compile, save. Now let's go check out the health component real quick. Right over here, let's add a print string. And with the print string here, we can split this pin, and let's just get the health plugged in here. Okay, just so we can monitor the health. Okay, so this is just helpful for debugging for now. Okay, now we need to stop dead enemies from moving. We're going to go back to our enemy base. We're going to find the walk towards feature, which is right here. The enemy walk. Okay, so then before we add the movement, we are going to get our health, our character data, okay, with our character data, we're going to break. And we're going to find the is alive. And we're going to add a branch. And we're going to add an and Boolean for stunned. So if they're actually, this is getting into a mess. Hold on. So first, let's get the branch in place. Okay. Turn that branch right there. Perfect. All right. So now we've got this and condition that we're going to use. And we know that the logic won't work if we don't ask for a not Boolean on the stunned, because we want the turnout to be true. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So this is what the final result should look like. Okay, so we can compile and save. We can go back to our map. We can put our turkey back that we removed earlier. Character, turkey, turkey BP. And then we can hit play. And now we should be able to kill the turkey, of which I've done. The turkey is dead, and now so am I. Okay? So that's the end of that video. Now stay tuned, because the next video coming up, we'll clean up this combat, get some player gameplay loops in here, and make things a lot more fun. All right? Thanks so much.